Hi y'all, welcome back to Salty Tarot. I am just wanting to dive right in with, we're just going to see what's going on in your connection with your person, and we'll see what emerges. I was feeling called to, it's been a bit of a week for me, and I think that's when I go to this slightly cynical deck of I'm blanking on the names, the Audacity deck. So the Audacity deck is not as audacious as I would like it to be, but it gets us there, and it's got, cards like the Mom Boss, which I quite love. It's definitely irreverent, and so we will not take reversals in this deck, but let's pull out some cards to see what comes out for... Okay, no, leave the tarot cards alone. No. My dog wants to get in on the tarot. He just picked out the Alchemy deck. Maybe that's a call to... And that's him telling me that he wants his lunch. I might have to just pause for half a second. Okay, we've got the moon. The moon for what's going on in your connection. I'm going to pull one more. And because although I did not quite clarify out loud or even to myself, I was visualizing pulling a couple of cards out of this deck. Just wanting to get a little bit of the irreverent wisdom from this deck. Oh, that one popped out. We've got perseverance. Okay, I'm just going to pause there and attend to my lovely puppy. Bottom of the deck, we've got the Empress, so actually we'll put that in the mix as well. Okay, so your connection is coming through at this time with the moon and perseverance. The moon, without pontificating at length, which will turn this video into much longer than I want it to be, the moon is, in the tarot, has a variety of meanings, and I'm always looking for decks as well as interpretations that can kind of bring in more of the, the sort of sacred, I was about to say the sacred feminine, but it's not even the words, those words that I use but struggle not to use, but they're useful to an extent. Anyway, so the moon, the essence of the moon is that it's cyclical, right? As compared to the sun. The sun is cyclical as well, but its cycles are much shorter, and it does show up virtually the same day to day, whereas the moon changes and has a cycle of becoming more so and becoming less so. There's an expansion and a contraction with the moon. There's an expansion and a contraction with the tides ruled by the moon. And in this card, this woman is offering herself to, she's got antlers, I don't know if you can see that. Bring it a little closer. And sorry, that was very fast, but hopefully you can pause it on the right moment if you want to see more closely. She's got a wolf beside her howling at the moon. She's in the desert here. She's in the desert here. It's we've got a blue-haired woman in both of these cards. We've got the sun and a rainbow in this one. We've got the same two, I'm going to probably not say these properly, but saguaro, I think, cacti, if that's correct, if I'm right about that. This is not my region of the world, so if I've got those words wrong, feel free to correct me. Although I've spent my fair share of time in the desert in Nevada. Anyway, so the sun actually has a third eye, which is cute, and there's a little skull down here. All the things I love about that part of the world. Anyway, the moon, this moon card picks out the cyclical nature of, in this case, relationship. So your relationship might be waxing and waning, and the point is impermanence, that it will change, it will shift. Perseverance is it's self-explanatory, but the message here says your journey will not be easy or comfortable, but you will come out on the other side if you stay the course. Anything that is worth having or keeping will take discipline, sacrifice, and commitment. If you want it and put in the work, it's yours. Believe it. And at the back of the deck, we've got the Empress, and the Empress is, of course, she who has it all together. A gorgeous goddess sits unperturbed on her throne while breastfeeding. You do it all, and you do it with ease. You have a remarkable ability to be one step in your body and one step out into the spirit realm. You are the ultimate queen, and nothing knocks you off your throne. This is a message from beyond to keep your eyes wide open, stay centered, and rule with confidence and ease. So that's the background energies. So even as perhaps the relationship is waxing and waning and requiring some perseverance, it's sort of like you've got it all in hand, or maybe the relationship itself has like a firm, I want to say a bedrock of, like I'm just seeing a very divine connection between these two female figures, worshiping the sun and the moon, and then the Empress, who in this image she's got a raven, she's got the moon through the window. She just, she's got like crystals growing out of her butt, or I guess that's her throne. They look like amethyst. She's got the colors of purple and black, which are very witchy, spiritual, and yet she's, grounded in the material realm, able to bring forth nourishment. And she's doing it all, like, holding a raven on her wrist and having a blast, and making it all look easy. So that's sort of the background. So it's sort of like, persevere, this too shall pass, and ultimately what's rooting the connection is looking quite, it looks like it has a solid foundation, or that it's, that it will go through its own shifts with ease. Like there's mastery here that will not be too challenging, but there is a need to persevere at this time. I will probably have to put a little lightning bolt on the two little bums here, which is too bad because they're adorable and they're just bums. But this one has an eye on it. So underneath the lightning bolt, picture a little open eye, like tattoo, I guess, on this charming little bum here. We shall move on. So that was our dose of irreverence. That was kind of some very reverent irreverence. We're going to move into the tarot. So I've already pre-shuffled. Spirit, please tune me in to the collective and what they need to know about this connection. So let's get some cards for your person's energies in this connection at this time. Oh my goodness. Let's take him. Let's go for it. Let's dive in. This is not going to be a 10-minute reading if I do this, unless I'm ultra super quick. Oh my goodness, I can't even fit them all. Back of the deck, we've got the Ace of Coins, which is the Ace of Pentacles. So, holy cups, wow. So we've got the Two of Cups, the Queen of Cups, the Four of Cups, the Five of Pentacles, the Ace of Wands, and the Eight of Pentacles, and then the Ace of Pentacles, all upright. Your person loves you, and they love you in a nourishing, nurturing way. It looks to me as if there's been just a very strong connection here, but they're struggling to see the point at this time. There's a bit of energy of them sort of like maybe they're avoiding their feelings. I feel like I say that in every reading. That seems to be the energies that are in my energy, the energies that are in my psyche at this time. But that is, I mean, the Four of Cups is about, in this case, this little nightingale out here and this plain cup, that doesn't achieve the fanciness of the cups that are here, is the one that could save this character's life, or could save a life. I'm not totally familiar with the myth, but this is the prize out here, and this person is focused on the fancy cups instead, and then we've got these self-isolation energies of the Five of Coins. That this is the little match girl, just feeling, especially financially on the outside, but in this case it's sort of like a feeling of impoverishment. So your person has these feelings, but is turning away from them, failing to see the one piece that could, I want to say, save the relationship, or, save the connection, that could benefit them the most. Let's put it that way. And because of that, they're feeling on the outside of things, maybe they're feeling sorry for themselves, but we're moving into this energy of, there's two aces here, which is, it's hard not to be excited as soon as you see any aces. And there's two. There's the back of the deck energies. We've got this sort of unexpected opportunity, gift, something coming through unexpectedly that rekindles things. And so maybe that, element that they're not seeing somehow comes through. Maybe the nightingale flies right in and sort of, knocks that fancy hat off. Well, it's quite well strapped, isn't it? But in any event, something comes in and kind of reinvigorates your person. I just lifted this up, and of course the chariot is underneath it. So that's forward movement for sure. Those look like sturgeons. If I had to say, I'm not going to pull out the guidebook again, but they look like big, strong fish, and it reminds me of koi, the myth of koi in Japan turning into dragons. And then we've got the Ace of Wands, which is firmly within your person's energies. It's like creative inspiration, that feeling of like everything being possible, everything being alive, like just having so much inspiration. And then the Eight of Coins is about working hard at, going from the Ace of Wands to the Eight of Coins. It's sort of like the inspiration's there. And then, putting that into practice can be really hard work. And the myth for this, these are supposed to be nettles. They're quite thorny. Nettles are not thorny. They're just painful. I live in a place that has a lot of them around. And but they're also used in healing, and they're a source of sustenance. And, like if you've ever been bequeathed with a slice of nettle souffle, it is quite delicious. And they can be used in desserts as well. But they also, like switches of nettles, have been used as a healing technique for other ailments within indigenous communities within the Coast Salish peoples, or further north even. And I'm thinking of Haida Gwaii right now. And so anyway, she's suffering to continue, which to my mind is less, like I think of the Eight of Pentacles as being about the harvest. But in any event, it's picking out the hard work that's going into that. But the hard work pays off. And then, so between these three cards, it looks as if it's that sort of perseverance energy. So my sense is it's all going to be okay, but maybe we'll turn that question over to the tarot. We'll just take a look at your energies in the connection. That's happened every time I've shuffled. I pre-shuffled a couple times off camera. And let's try and be very careful. What are your energies in this connection? And hopefully I'm aiming for 2 cards. Not to shortchange you. Your person just had a lot to say. We've got strength. That's interesting because the card in between the two, that looks like Tatterhead again, but I'll have a look at what the myth is. An Ace of Cups. With on the bottom of the deck, the Two of Cups. Interesting. I like that. I did shuffle quite a few times in between the two readings. That's the third ace we've got appearing in this reading. Okay, so I'm finding this quite interesting because strength, so back in the oracle cards, it feels funny to call that deck oracle cards. They are, though. So in the Audacity deck, in between the moon and perseverance, the card in between them was strength. And I remember I actually made a mental note to say that, and then I didn't say it, but here it is coming out again. Strength can be about sort of taming your inner beast, and this is Tamlin, it turns out. And but in this case, it's with the Ace of Cups, and the Ace of Cups is, in this case, it's referencing Japanese New Year's. And Japanese New Year is a very calm, quiet, not quiet, but reverent, serious, but like really, really beautiful feeling, like blissful kind of serious holiday in Japan. Very unlike New Year's in North America. There's some sake being poured here, and this kanji actually says sake. And so these are the ribbons that get hung at temples. So you go to temple on New Year's Eve, and there's all kinds of different, variations on the theme, but essentially you're writing intentions for the year ahead, or well-wishings for your family, things like that, on little scraps of paper and then affixing them. And yeah, it's just a very beautiful, calm, grounded way to bring in the new year. It's these very grounded energies. And, you clean beforehand. You don't want to go into the new year with a dirty house or anything left sort of unkempt. So you sort of clean up the old year and bring in the new year very cleanly. And it's celebrated the same time that the North American New Year is celebrated as well. But just a very different celebration. It's if you ever get a chance to be in Japan over New Year's, please, Kyoto is a good place to be for that. But anywhere in Japan. And ideally with a personal connection in a temple that you can go to. I had the opportunity to go to a very small local temple for that, and it was one of my most cherished memories of my time in Japan, but also just in life, period. Okay, and then so the back of the deck. So you're feeling very strong reconnection energy. You're feeling very. It's like any love that is in you, and there is strong love on your side as well, is burbling up to the surface very, very potently. So it's sort of like the description for this card said something about, love sort of popping up from the subconscious. Let me just check the wording on that. A new beginning, a reason to drink and be merry, and to open up to subconscious feelings. And sake being a drink of the gods, bringing you closer to the spirit world. So there's just a very, very strong sort of burbling up of these feelings of love. That's, maybe they've been there the whole time. This is such a strong, beautiful, I can't believe this card has come out again. So I am going to read the description of this one because it's in the background for you, as well as the very first card of the reading and for your person's energy. So this is Enkidu and Gilgamesh. This is Sumerian mythology, and I am very, very, I'm like a super fan of the ancient Sumerian culture. There's some cool stuff back there. It's sort of like you can see the transition point before things became patriarchal, if you go back to those myths. And it's like there's just this little bit of codified matriarchal culture that comes through, and then you can see it emerging, like sort of getting distorted or being recast as different characters through Egyptian mythology until you get to monotheism, which, anyway, it's interesting, the history of thought. All right, so the Two of Cups is an ideal relationship that still faces difficulties. Gilgamesh was a tyrant until Enkidu was created for him to be his equal in every way. Though their initial meeting was rocky, they came to love each other very much as opposites who complete each other. Upright meanings, a happy relationship, equality, partnership, attraction, connection. So all of the Two of Cups, things that we would usually associate with the Two of Cups. So I'm just I've got maybe not quite an outward grin, but definitely an inner grin because of this reading. This is really beautiful energies. So let's get a couple of cards for, the Two of Cups coming out on both of your sides. That's, that's very strong twin flame energy, potentially soulmate, definitely some kind of divine counterpart energies happening there. Potentially, we didn't have any divine counterpart cards coming out other than the Two of Cups, but for the Two of Cups to come out in both on both sides, I'd say that's looking divine counterpartish for sure. And anyway, so with all these feelings, let's see what's blocking the connection at this time. And then maybe we'll get, oh, hello. Well, the connection is blocked. And we've got strength in reverse on the bottom of the deck here. So there's a variety of interpretations that could come through from that. For example, like weakness of feeling. But the immediate interpretation that came through for me was that this is not too much of an obstacle. So this might be an obstacle, but it's not a strong obstacle. It's sort of like almost out of orb, to speak in astrological metaphors. So Five of Wands is about ego clashes, essentially. Maybe you're sort of both in an egoic place, or maybe your partner might be more so, because your energies were very clearly about love and abundance and seeing the value of the connection. Your partner's energies were, there's love there, but they're almost like turning away from them. So maybe they're in their ego a little bit too much. One or both of you, or maybe the connection itself is sort of going through some egoic struggles. And, that can be the difference between the 3D and the 5D, for example. So maybe you had the Empress as the background energies. So I would say, and that was the message of that card, was that there's one foot in the material realm, one foot in the spiritual realm. And she, like, the background energy is that for the whole connection, those things are flowing together really beautifully. So that is there as potential, if not in actuality. But if there's someone stuck in ego, then that can block the access to that flow. And so, and the Seven of Swords, of course, is a bit of sneakiness. It can be like all of the not great meanings of that. So, if somebody trying to get away with something, it can be, going outside of a commitment, violating trust, that kind of thing. I will just add in the caveat that if that is something that resonates for you, is something you already know about, then you can take that meaning. If you don't already know about something, nefarious happening, then that message is for somebody else, not for you. So don't try to read into something like that being part of the connection unless it's already resonating for you. And, and bear in mind, tarot is here to confirm your instincts. So if that's not an instinct you have had to date about your connection, then that's not in play. It's a message for somebody else. But if that is something that has come up, then it's sort of like maybe there's been a bit of waffling between, like, maybe there's, people can get touchy about their independence, their autonomy sometimes. And, even if you're fully in the relationship, even if you want to be there, you're happy to be there, like, sometimes we can still get a bit sticky about wanting to protect our own space or just make our own decisions without having to consult another person. Those are all things that come up in relationships, of course. And I was going to say, this particular Seven of Swords it's like this wolf is casting a shadow, making itself look like a big scary dinosaur monster, when in fact it's a wolf holding onto a blade. So it's sort of like appearing scarier than it actually is, which is going back to the meaning that was coming through for me from the Strength card of, there's an obstacle here, but it's not a huge obstacle. It's just sort of like, what's the answer to ego? To be in your heart more. So if it's your person, or if it's both of you, the answer is to connect with the heart, and that's, where those subconscious feelings start to burble up more, of course. And, just opening your heart, like, I'm not saying like go into feelings, feel your feelings for the other person, but just open up your heart, like do some breathing, do some breath work around the heart chakra, do a yoga set that is designed to open up the heart, sort of sit in meditation and get yourself into a calm, grounded space and feel into whatever blocks are in there. You can go quite deep with that sort of work. You can get to like clearing the rubble, you can get to clearing the ancestral lines and ancestral karma. There's no end to how deep that work can go, and it's quite beautiful, profound work. And Five of Wands can also be sort of internal strife, and like, I'm just getting overanalyzing. It's not really a card of overanalyzing per se, but it's certainly coming through for me right now, sort of like a person being too much in their head and needing to connect back to their heart. And Two of Coins is the Two of Pentacles, which is usually about juggling too much or having a choice to make, kind of trying to keep all the balls in the air. I notice there's a bear cub with a baby bottom and a baby with a bear cub bottom. And so this one is a Haida myth, which is my neck of the woods. And so the 2 coins represent the skill needed to balance opposing forces in life for, I'm not going to say this right, since the bear world and the human world collide, she embodies the dualities of work and family, hobbies and careers, and wants versus needs, in the upright meaning multitasking, balance, choice, flexibility, prioritization. So what is blocking might also just be, I mean, maybe there's a desire to sort of make one's own decisions because there are competing priorities. And by competing priorities, I mean work. I mean, things that a person might feel like they need to get done in this lifetime, and a desire to sort of protect those things. And so maybe, again, I'm going back to your person because of those initial cards. Maybe your person is not fully available to allow that heart space to open up right now because they have, they're trying to balance their feelings and, the connection with sort of practical realities. But still, I just am not getting any other message from the Strength card other than just that it's referring back to that it's not a very strong block at this time. Spirit, what is the advice? What is the advice for the collective? What is the advice for the collective? Holy, that jumped out. Well, commitment. Let's see what else. We have a modifier for the 4 of Wands, please. I can't believe how quickly that jumped out. That was a very clear message. I hope that was fully on camera because that was incredible. Six of Cups in reverse and 3 of Swords in reverse on the bottom. So what's coming through, what I'm getting from this is, so the 4 of Wands is of course about weddings, celebrations, community celebrations, family celebrations, being sort of rooted in ritual and, community witnessing of a commitment. So you may be married to this person already. They may have been an integral part of your life for a very long time. And it's possible that you've been through some recent sort of heartbreak with them. So that's one interpretation that's coming through. If that's the case, then there's this background energy again. The background energies are so potent in this reading of sort of overcoming that grief, being in forgiveness, letting go. This is a card of letting go. One other possible interpretation might be letting go of the connection or of the previous iteration of your connection. But with this here as well, what I'm really seeing is that there's a call for forgiveness. And so underpinning that call for forgiveness is this very strong connection. I mean, the only card that hasn't really come through is, like a king and a queen together, or emperor, empress, or the lovers. But otherwise, we've had the 4 of Wands, we've had the 2 of Cups twice, we've had the Ace of Cups, the Queen of Cups, and, even the 4 of Cups, and I think there was even another Cups in there. So there's just been a lot of feelings and love in this connection, and it seems like it's underpinning everything, but there's something that needs to be let go of. And so we could go bloop and assume that it's the connection, or we could go bloop and assume that it has to do with, like, what I'm getting is that this is more in line with the energy of the reading overall. And what needs to be let go of is whatever has been blocking this union. And so if there's something you're hanging on to, if there's something, this was your advice, right? We were looking for your advice. So if you've been hanging on to some kind of heartbreak, then there's only good things to come from letting go of those feelings and stepping into an energy of forgiveness, optimism, reconciliation, maybe seeking out some kind of external help if there's something that you're feeling like you can't let go of, that's blocking the connection. Then find mediators, find counselors, find I'm getting someone who works in a spiritual field who could assist. I was specifically thinking of once my ex-spouse and I we went to, that sentence doesn't bode well, but, but the point is that there are people who work in sort of energy work or yoga or healing who sometimes run couples workshops. There might be somebody in like within the field of yoga is what I'm really getting. Some kind of spiritual teacher who maybe does some of that union work. Now I'm getting Tantra. That may be an avenue to explore. I was going to say that the Four of Wands for me, especially this card, gives off an energy of Hieros, which is a very ancient ritual that rooted sexuality within the community, made it a celebratory event, and one that brought the gods down to earth through physical embodiment. I think that's all I can say on YouTube. But, going back to those earlier energies of the moon, like what I was talking about with the moon, and then we had Enkidu and Gilgamesh, the Sumerian myths coming through. There's something just very ancient and potent about this connection, and worth fighting for. Persevere. And so your work is letting go of whatever has been holding you back. If there's something that your partner has sneakily done, maybe there's a path to forgiveness of that action. If there's been, past infidelity, again, if that's something you already are aware of, or if you have even just misgivings, maybe there's a way to sort of cleanse your energy and come into the connection with fresh energy, fresh eyes, and openness. And it looks just very, very positive. This has been a really beautiful reading. So I'm going to end it there. And yeah, beautiful. So please do press all the buttons, like, subscribe, leave a comment if this resonated with you. Maybe, what could we put for Hieros Gamos in the comments? Maybe just a heart. I see these look like roses. You could put a little rose in the comments if this reading resonated for you. Or if you have something more creative. Don't get too creative. It is YouTube. But yeah, thanks for being here. And I love succulent, juicy readings where good things come through. May there be more of those. And yeah, be well. And thank you for trusting me with reading your energies. Okay, be well. Bye.